This week on the deck, there is a hardtop update that is getting done on the Beneteau Swift Trawler. I'm going to introduce you to a few guys around the yard while they're installing that hardtop. We're going to be checking out the installation of a whisker pole and its functions and uses on your boat, along with safely removing a forestay on a sailboat and going aloft and how to do that correctly. Then there's an interview with Scotty. Going to get to know him more. So lots going on in the yard around here at the Yacht Rigger. I'm Sailor Smurf coming to you from Marine Mission Control. Now let's get into it. In the last episode, we saw this Beneteau Swift Trawler hardtop with all the solar panels getting installed and all the custom work being done. This week, it's going to be getting lifted up and installed.
So I just got to the yard, and the first thing they're doing today is they're stepping the T-top on that trawler. Trawler's behind me here, T-top's over here. The crane is hovering the ball over the top here. They're putting the straps on, and that T-top's gonna go on. So this is gonna be pretty cool.
So there's
to
the
watch.
hard top, and the crane is on location, like I said, and it is getting mounted up. They're having to rig it all up to get it to obviously lift flat, and it's gonna be put on that boat right there. That's the Beneteau Swift Trawler. And so they are just figuring out the lines here and how to keep this thing flat and straight and true while they pick it up and get it. Look how trippy that looks, just like floating like that on a crane. I was really wondering, are they gonna just drop this hardtop onto the top of that Beneteau, and there's no down legs that are ready to go? And I thought that crane's really expensive per hour. So when that hardtop gets placed, it's only like half of it is on the arch, or like the aft section of it is on this aft arch that's up there on that fly bridge, but the forward section doesn't have any legs yet. So I'm like, is it going to rest on that ladder, or what are they going to do? They can't just throw down legs on it that quickly. And I thought here, like, oh, well, clearly they're not using the ladder to hold up the front of it. I mean, you know, I don't know what they're going to use. So I'm going to take a moment here actually to introduce some of the team, since so many people are working on this install. You have Scotty there in the hat. He's interviewed later on in this episode. And then the guy whose back is to us right now is Jason, and he's like from Greece or something. I don't know. I should probably follow up on that without just guessing. I know he speaks some other languages and stuff. He's one of the newest team members. That's my excuse for not knowing who he is so well. Maybe we'll make him the next person that we interview, because he's a really cool guy. And then that guy with his hand up who's getting some work done with the longer hair, that is Frank Chitwood. And Frank is such a chill dude. Everybody loves Frank. He's just a fun guy to be around, just super kind and really smart. I mean, he's practically leading this whole install, which is pretty sweet. And then you got Jeremiah Sutherland. Oh, Jeremiah Sutherland. It sounds like someone would say he's the best detective this side of the Mississippi. Just that name is so funny to me. Totally sounds like an action hero. Maybe I'm thinking of Kiefer Sutherland. Anyways, Jeremiah is cool. He's young, but he's extremely capable, and he is just got a quick mind. He's really done a lot in his few years. And yes, ladies, he is single. So leave a comment below if you'd like to get to know him. I'm just kidding. I tend to always play matchmaker.
And Steven, the boss, he gets everybody set up, and then he's gonna probably go play some golf. Haha, just kidding.
Expecting some weather tomorrow, so you guys got to be far enough to...
We're just gonna duct tape it on.
Hey, duck it.
I realized whenever the wood started getting put on, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Throw some wood supports up there for a minute, and then you're able to do all your adjustments that you need, because adjusting the final position for that hardtop is actually really difficult. There's quite a bit going on there to do that right. The camaraderie here at the yard, like, it's incredible. Of all these installers, everyone just gets along, has a really good time getting their work done every day. It's just such a good environment. And if I had to guess why it's such a cool environment, such a good morale, it's got to come down to the leadership. I mean, right? Between Steven, Andre, and Brian, these are non-micromanaging, chill dudes that ask that you just do your job with excellence, and they're always there in your corner to back you up. And that's what they do, and somehow they have just attracted the right kind of personalities to themselves, which has been just a lot of really neat individuals. So it's been really cool to see. He does a little dab here. Watch. And then they're looking to see if I notice. And even though it looks like I'm looking straight at them, I am mentally a million miles away processing other things going on with the camera. And so they laugh at me. Interesting to watch, but it came out really good. The wrap up on that is going to be in the next episode because they're still working on the electrical.
Right now we are prepping to install a mast mounted whisker pole system on this boat. So that's going to be a T-track that's mounted to the front of the mast, and then it's an adjustable length whisker pole so it can extend to a specific length, whatever you need it to be really, but it gets shorter for mast stowing so it can be stowed easily. And there's a car and traveler system, so basically it means that one person can deploy the pole really easily because the weight of it is taken by the track on the mast. So when you're ready to sail downwind, you can essentially just have one person on the bow, grab the sprit, walk it forward, and we can do a cool demo of that too, but walk it forward, hook into the sheet, and then go aft. It makes single handling with a whisker pole fairly simple.
So this is Jeremiah working on the T-track install for that whisker pole, and it is a lot of drilling and tapping. And so he's doing a center punch there so he can run the drill bit in nice and straight. It doesn't walk on him whenever it works through the aluminum. And then once he gets it drilled out, he's going to take his tap and he's going to run the right tap size in that corresponds with, I think those bolts are 1/4-20s.
So you're installing this T-track on the mast. Any, for the whisker pole, any tips that someone would need to keep in mind for putting a track on a mast like that?
The one tip that was given to me was start from the center and go out, spacing about every 1 to 2 holes, just so that you don't get extra material slack caught up in it. It just allows the metal to stretch each direction, and then you can go back and fill the 1 or 2 that you've missed.
Okay, cool. And it's just a lot of drilling and tapping, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're center punch. So you center punch each hole.
Yeah.
Then you drill it, then you tap.
The front of this mast has a line down the front of it, so I can put the center punch into the line to get it completely centered, and it will hold thanks to the tip. And then that just helps me keep everything going straight up every time I jump a hole.
Yeah.
Because if I were to start from the top to go to the bottom, then I'd get this massive bow in the middle, and it would start to waver both vertically and horizontally.
Cool.
So I'm tefgelling around each of the recesses where it'll countersink the head. And then every single screw, I just do a nice big thick glob down the side so that it wipes around everything as I screw it in.
Oh, sweet.
The yacht rigger, they've done enough, they've seen enough. Obviously, metallurgical reactions between dissimilar metals, the metals start to bond and consume each other. Stainless steel bolts going into that aluminum mast, and even the track. So you don't want that corrosion, that galvanic corrosion to occur. Tefgel will create a protective barrier. It makes it where years later you can back those bolts right out really easily and they're not getting frozen in place. Steven talks about a boat that circumnavigated, that they put a bunch of hardware on the mast, and after it spent 3 or 4 years on a circumnav, when it came back, all the components that they had tefgeled on the mast, they took the stick down, a bunch of maintenance on it. They found that all those bolts just came out like butter. See the tefgel in right here. This is Schedule Master Will. That's what I call him. Some people in the yard call him Captain Cool. If you call up to the yacht rigger and you're getting work done, you are very likely going to wind up talking to this guy. Essentially dedicated his life to sailboat racing. Whenever I first met the yacht riggers and I was walking around in the yard and I talked to him and I saw him interface with a customer, I was thinking, my goodness, do I not know anything? Because it's really next level. This guy is a walking encyclopedia of all things sailing.
All right, so today we're standing here with Jeremiah, and we're just checking over his newly installed whisker pole on this cutter-rigged caliber 40. Whisker pole, basically, its biggest component is the whisker pole itself. This is a mast-stored whisker pole. You could also have one stored down along the stanchions as well. But like I said, whisker pole is the main part of the system. You've got your track, a couple of clutches mounted opposite of each other, and some turning blocks. A whisker pole is another way to go dead downwind, and it's incredibly effective. It keeps the jib, Genoa, you can use your asymmetrical sail with it. out of the shadow of the main. So when you're going dead downwind, wing on wing, you can actually pull that sail out. We've all been there where that jib, that Genoa is just flopping around. It's making a bunch of noise. It's terrible for the boat speed. It's terrible for our, our well-being because it's loud, and it's terrible on the sail. So using a whisker pole going dead downwind is a fantastic addition to any boat. We're just going to do a quick overview of Jeremiah's new install here on how to quickly deploy it. So here we have the pole topping lift that is already connected to the midpoint on the whisker pole itself, which was newly installed. And as you can see on this side of the boat are the jaw clips here. And essentially on this side of the boat here, we just have our pole control line. What we will do is we'll open one clutch. We're going to slightly raise the pole itself, and that way we can actually unclip it from its base. Once Jeremiah unclips it, we get our control line ready. And now we open our other clutch. And Jeremiah will get the pole out. Get that locked off. We have the topping lift set. And now the pole is ready to be deployed. A few key features about a whisker pole. Jaws always go down. So the easiest way to deploy a pole is once you get it into this position, your head sail is furled. If you have furling on your boat, it's absolutely recommended to just go ahead and keep it furled before you deploy the whisker pole. It just makes the foredeck clear and nice and easy. If you have a hank on sail, then I would turn deeper downwind, ease any pressure on it. You never want to hook up a whisker pole when there's a lot of load. So in this particular case, we would go and hook up the Genoa sheets into the end of the pole. The Genoa sheets on this boat are wrapped up at the moment. We've been doing a lot of work. This customer is also getting a full lithium install. So once the pole is ready and set, the pole control line here, all we need to do is just yank, and we can extend the pole all the way out to its desired length. The same thing in reverse. All we need to do is just pull back on that, retract the line, and then lock it back off. Nice and simple. Something that we're going to recommend for the customer, every whisker pole is spec'd based on the maximum foot length of your largest head sail. So for example, this customer has a 130% Genoa. What that basically means is you take the measurement from the mast to the head stay. On this boat, it's 17 feet. 130% of that is 21 and some change. We'll just call it 22 for fun. So that's how you would spec your pole. This particular pole is a 2.5 inch outside diameter and a 2 inch on the extension. And that allows us to leave its maximum extended length is about 24 feet. However, we know the length of the biggest sail is 22, and that gives us a 2-foot overlap at the midsection. It makes it very strong. And then retraction, all we'll do is hold our pole topping lift, open both of our clutches, pull it all the way in, spin it and lock it. There we go. And then we'll slowly ease it down into place. And then just take up our extra slack. And she is stowed away. Clean off the topping lift. And that's all she wrote.
So a quick little talk, mostly about safety on this boat behind me right here. We're about to take down the head stay to replace it and the furler. So what that means is essentially we are going to be easing off and removing a structural component that holds the mast up. In this particular case, it's actually a really safe situation because we have a cutter rig. So there is the inner forestay or cutter stay that will continue to support the forward load on the rig. However, we do need to add a little bit of support. And in this case, because we're not worried about the mast falling down, we just want to stabilize movement, we're going to add a halyard forward to support the mast while Kevin goes up and disconnects the stay, and while we leave it unattended, so to speak, while we build a new furler. If, and this is the big if this was a deck-stepped sloop, so there was only one forward stay supporting the mast, maybe some lowers, but essentially the mast is just sitting on the deck. In this case, it's keel step. The mast passes right through the deck, down to the keel. There's a good 8 feet of section support below there, supported by the deck, so it's a little more secure. But if it was deck stepped and just sitting flush on the deck with only one stay forward, to take the sail down and disconnect the furler is a lot more complicated and would require additional support. So we use a dedicated Dyneema static line that we actually tie around the mast and support it forward, and then also add an additional height, so we have 2 points of safety, because there is legitimately the risk of the mast falling down when the forestay is removed, and it's something you have to be very, very aware of. And if you're unsure, ask a qualified rigger, because it's something that can and does happen. If the mast falls down while you're up there, it's potentially deadly.
This is really funny. One of the guys at the yard, Jeremiah, he was working on a boat, on an island packet actually, brand new one, just got commissioned, and he left his phone on the boat, and the owner sails away, the owner of Island Packet Yachts sails away in that new boat, and he's like, oh no, I forgot my phone on the bow. And so he goes running onto Steven's boat here, and I go chasing after him, because I'm like, how's he gonna correct this? Like, how's he gonna get his phone back? And it turns out they are launching the tender and gonna head after him to try to get his phone back. So I just thought that was really funny. They get the offshore tender here launched, offshore cruising tender, OC tender.
It's very light and squirrely. Got it. Only like 90 pounds of boat. So get this in here. See what I mean? Where's the safety? There's a kill switch on there.
First. That does seem squirrely. Yeah. Just so, like you say, so light.
Jeremiah, if you kind of lean way forward and like squat in the middle, like get way forward, and you can almost get on plane, not making weight.
Good pro tip there by Steven on how to distribute your weight best, so as to go as fast as you can without making wake in the harbor in a no wake area. Jeremiah coming back with his phone that he went to go catch. So not just is Jeremiah coming back with his phone that he went to go get from the boat he left it on the bow of, but he's also coming back with the president of Island Packet Yachts, Daryl. So I guess he gave him a ride back here to the yard. Daryl's car must be here. One of the things that I learned this week that I want to make sure that I add to my cruiser codex, lessons that I've learned around here in the yard from the yacht rigger that I want to make sure that I remember, is the use of variable speed air conditioners on boats. Instead of using the more old school air conditioners that turn on and turn off and take a big power draw from your house battery bank, instead you can utilize variable speed air conditioners like the one from Vel Air, where it turns on softly and ramps up and comes down softly. It also has an eco mode. You don't need a soft start to use that air conditioner system on your house battery bank, and it's definitely the way to go. You have less draw and you have more stable temperatures inside of your cabin and throughout the boat. And that's something that I want to make sure that I remember. So this is a new regular segment that I am introducing into the episodes. It's called Meet a Pro, and I am grabbing various people from around the yard here who work at the yacht rigger that make everything possible, from the fab team electrical over to rigging and the owners and so on, and bring them in here and let you guys get to know them a little bit more, because they are all really unique, fun, clever individuals who are amazing at their job and have so much that all of us can glean from them. But I'd like you guys to get to know more of their backstory and what their situation is and how they arrived here or how they started here. So the first one being featured here is none other than Scotty.
I got brought in here as a rigger, and that's what I started as. But because of my background, I quickly got moved over to the electrical department. But because I did start out as a rigger and I do have some experience as rigging, I'm able to bounce back and forth.
So you actually live full-time on a boat now, right?
Yeah, so In 2021, I sold my house, sold everything that was in the house that didn't fit on the boat, and moved on to my boat full time, and I've been loving it ever since, man. I don't see myself really going back to land life anytime soon.
Now, what was your background before all of that?
So I was in the aerospace metal finishing industry, did that for a long time and just kind of got burnt out on it and left that and went cruising for a little bit. It's my passion, you know, that's what I was passionate about. I had no passion for the aerospace industry. This is what I love doing, you know. I wake up every day excited to go to work. You know, I look forward to seeing what the day is going to bring, and it's a lot of different challenges.
And how'd you find out about the yacht rigger?
When I first moved back to St. Pete, I was just looking to get into the marine industry, and I was cruising through Craigslist ads for jobs. It was funny because I tried to contact the yacht riggers pretty much like 6 months before I had actually started with them, and they were so busy I could never get through to them. I was in West Marine one day, and Steve came in, and I saw him in his shirt, and I stopped him and talked to him for a minute, explained to him like, hey man, I tried to apply with you guys, and he was like, do you still want a job? And I was like, well, yeah, and
Awesome.
Ended up coming here and starting with these guys, man.
What would you say is one of your favorite things to do here, like task-wise, like something that you just tend to excel at that you like?
Honestly, I still, even though I don't get to do it very often anymore, I still really love going up the rigs.
Oh, cool.
Climbing a mast is really awesome. When you get up there, man, it's just like you're so alive up there. You just can see everything. You have that like scared feeling kind of too of like, you know, you could possibly fall, so
Yeah,
it keeps
wakes
you
you
on your
up.
toes, you know,
Yeah.
it makes you feel alive up there.
Yeah, that's true, man. What do you think something unique about getting to have a job like this? I mean, just the lifestyle you get to live, living on a boat, coming to work, working on boats. Obviously, that's unique. Does anything else stand out?
The customers that we deal with on a daily basis, we have had so many amazing customers here, and the relationships that you build with those customers here last lifetimes, you know. So it's like you get really awesome interaction with people, and I would say 90% of the time people are just so stoked to have their new systems and get their boat upgraded, you know, that it's a very exciting environment.
Scotty Yachty, thank you so much for your
No
time,
problem.
bro. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Well, that is it this week for episode 6 of the On Deck channel. I am Sailor Smurf. Thank you so much for your support watching this show. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check below on the description to see links of the things that the yacht rigger likes to use around the yard on these boats. None of that's sponsored. It's just the stuff that they genuinely use every day all over the place doing their work on boats. And you will also find the link to the podcast as well below. And I will see you guys next week at the On Deck channel. Sailor Smurf